What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Pillow Talk with Paul Goneau. My guest today is the very funny comedian Kenley.
Hi.
I said that last
very
name, right?
funny. Yeah.
I would say you are. How long have you
You're
been
the
doing
only
comedy?
person who's ever been like, did I get your last name right? I'm like, it's one syllable.
I butcher names of like people I've known for like 10 years. And maybe that's because I don't say their last name or like I usually maybe have a nickname or something like that. So I just wanted to make sure. I feel like my mind goes straight to Q, and we've had this discussion and you're just Ku.
Yeah, cool.
Ku.
But I'm just like, I have the one ethnic name that I like literally don't see how you could like mispronounce on like any other ethnic name.
Yeah.
But here we are.
It's pretty straightforward, but I'm the worst.
No, it's fine. I should change my name to Kenley Q. That would be better. Like like Q Lazarus. Like that should be that.
Oh, okay. I like it though.
Thank you.
How long have you been doing comedy as of right now?
Just over 6 months, I think.
All right.
I'm brand new.
Hell yeah, you feel like a little weird when I say very funny, but man, I would. You won Laughateria.
I had a really fun time at Laughateria.
That was a good time.
That was a very good time.
That was a good time. Your friends were awesome too.
Yeah, I did not even expect my friends to show up. Like truly, we were just like 5 minutes before, and they just like my old friends from like university. I hadn't seen them in years, and I was like, "The fuck!" Like,
I can bust out all the hits.
let's go.
I don't know how many hits you got after 6 months, but like, when people that like, it's funny because I have a whole bunch of new material that I've been working on.
Yeah.
But I know for a fact that like a bunch of people that haven't seen me perform are going to be coming to the next monthly show or the monthly show's next show. And so I'm like, oh man, like for the people that haven't seen me, I want to do like the fucking bangers, the ones that I know are gonna hit. But like for the people that have like seen all my shit, it's like you gotta try to find the balance. You know what I mean? Do you struggle with that?
Almost in like an inverse way. I feel like I cycle through material really quickly.
Okay.
Like I've done 20. I did 20 like about a month and a half ago, and since then I've probably written at least like 7 to 10 more minutes. I just like, get so bored with stuff.
Okay.
Like the minute I know something works, I'm just over it. I don't want to do it anymore. It's not fun.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I feel like there's really only like a period of like maybe like 2 weeks where I was like, I have my type 5 ready, let's go. And now I'm just like truly let me just like talk my shit. I don't.
Yeah.
I'm having this whole crisis about stand-up where I feel like the honeymoon phase is just over, and I'm now just like in it and trying to figure out like what it is that I'm like that I want to be doing, or how I want to like develop and what avenues I want to take. And it's like it's very strange because it matters to nobody because I'm like a low-level, like, local circuit comedian. And yet, I'm just, like, so prone to putting the most pressure on myself.
It's important, though. That's good.
Yeah. I'm also, like, not stable. I mean, I am. But, like, I'm, like, a clinically insane person who, like, is just, like, constantly, like, screaming in my own mind about, like, no, it has to be better, like...
Oh, okay, I got you.
And it's, like, weird because I feel like I'm learning how to, like... approach stuff with a different mentality. Like I was raised in like dance and like I did ballet and all that.
Gotcha.
And I feel like that's so like my mentality with stand up is to like walk in and be like over prepared and like attack and be like completely like unassailable. Is that the word? Inassailable?
Okay.
In what I'm doing.
Sure. Yeah, all right.
Yeah. But that's kind of that's not fun, first of all. And second of all, it's like, I don't think that that's the point of stand-up. There are, like, so many performers that, like, I admire who just, like, go up and just, like, talk their shit and have fun.
Mm-hmm.
And even, like, I'm working on the crowd work.
Yeah.
But it's so weird, because it's, like, I want to walk in and be like, today I'm working on crowd work, but that's not how that goes. You just, like, say whatever comes to mind and, like, pray that it's funny.
I feel like I've actually seen that approach before, though.
Yeah,
You know, like at like some sort of some like booked open mics where people will do their stuff, and it's like I have here. It says like they'll bring up a pad and be like, right here it says crowd work, you know, and they kind of I can't remember who it was, but I mean, fucking try it. It could be funny that you know in itself. Crowd work is an uphill battle.
Yeah.
You know, and as I'm doing more crowd work, also it's fucking with like my set times and like also.
That's the thing too. I get so paranoid about running late.
Mm-hmm.
I always want to be like right on that mark and like make sure that I'm finishing up on time, respecting the room. And the minute I derail, I'm just like, oh shit! In like 2 minutes, I'm gonna like get stuck in the middle of a bit that I like didn't want to close on, and I'm just gonna close on it and commit and like be bummed about it.
I feel like it's a lot easier to like sometimes I just don't pay attention. I'm not trying to be a dick. Like I've most recently I would say I did Harv show. I think I went over like 2 minutes, and like I just wasn't paying attention. Like I was talking to people in the crowd and just wasn't paying attention. It's easier to do that when you're doing well versus like when I'm bombing.
Oh, when you're bombing, just like give me the fuck
yeah,
out here. Like,
oh,
I'm
4
over
minutes?
it.
Is that the first light or second light? They'd be like first light. I'm like, that's
okay,
second light. I'm out of here.
yeah.
You know, like.
I mean, that's something I've had to learn because I like am co-hosting and co-producing my own show,
which is called
Stressed Girlies. It's at Bar Cathedral. It is
great venue.
Great venue. We love it. Presently a monthly.
Awesome.
Hope we'll get invited back. This will not come out by the time we do our September show. Hopefully it will come out by the time we do our October show. Please come, wink, wink. But yeah, I feel like in producing our own show, I've had to learn like, okay, have like a 20-minute buffer period where nothing that is just unaccounted for, just so that because like people will inevitably run late by like 30 seconds. It just happens, and like people get carried away. You know, if we get carried away doing our little hosty things between sets, and also like something stupid might happen. We'll probably start late because like somebody's boyfriend isn't there, and we have to be like, okay.
They usually, I can't remember the last comedy show I went to that started on time.
Yeah, no.
Honestly.
That's, no.
Yeah, it's very rare.
Yeah.
But that's awesome. I want to definitely get on that show at some point. But I want to have you also on the monthly show. I've been having a lot of trouble with venues with that show. Bar Cathedral is actually one that's just on my list of a place that I'd like to do it. So that's a pretty good score for, you know, your first show.
Yeah, it's a really fun venue. It definitely, I think, just the setup of the room, it makes people very attentive and excited to be there. Like Bar Cathedral has an energy that's very like, this is an event.
Yeah,
you're at a performance. Like you're excited to be here. You're hyped.
Yeah.
It's not just like, and no shade to like other, you know, bars and other comedy venues, but it's not just like, okay, I guess this is the plans for the evening. It's like, maybe just because it's kind of out of the way, but
yeah, it's a great spot.
Old Spaghetti Factory, get some spaghetti. It's good.
I've never eaten there. It's good? Out of 10.
It's like an excellent, it's like a Cheesecake Factory situation. Whether or not it's like haute cuisine is completely irrelevant to your experience. You're there to like sit in a room with like too much decor. That's the goal. And Bar Cathedral it's the front room of Old Spaghetti Factory. It's a very classy space. I'd like to keep my show, thank you very much. But
it is. They have like stained glass windows and shit.
Yeah,
real
they
cool,
have like a whole like bayou tapestry above the bar. Not actually, but
I definitely want to start up a third one. Maybe I'll.
That'd be sick. Yeah.
And the guy who I don't know his name. I've only met him once, but he runs. He's like the sound guy, the engineer guy in the back who runs like, I don't know, they have like smoke machines and like all these funky lights and shit. And I feel like they record most of the stuff that goes on.
I believe they live stream all the shows to like a Twitch channel.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't necessarily save the recording.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why like people will come in and record separately. But
yeah.
Like I think they do everything live streamed, which still come out to the show because live comedy is not the same live streamed, but...
Did you do a lot of the Zoom, speaking of that?
No.
Yeah,
I didn't.
I was so... You just waited until fucking things opened back up.
I mean, like, I actually started stand-up on a complete whim in February.
Okay, so what made you start it?
I'd always been passively interested in stand-up. I'm not a stand-up fan. It's never been my number one. I like a good handful of, like, famous-y stand-up comedians, but, I'd always been passively interested in it. I'm, like, a sociopath whose, like, life skill is public speaking. And I'm also, like, an annoying person who says jokes in conversation. So I was like, okay, like, I'm probably not going to do well, but let me try this. I had the idea, I think, like, on a Tuesday, in, like, February, right after my birthday. And I was just like, okay, my birthday present to myself this year is that I'm going to, like, do one open mic and see how it goes. So then I was just like, let me find one. Give me, like, the entirety of Wednesday to, like, write 5 minutes of jokes. And then let me just, like, do this as quickly as possible so I don't chicken out. I'm just going to, like, sign up for a mic on Thursday and just, like, go. And, like, maybe I'll never do it again. Maybe this is going to be, like, my career. Who knows? And now we're here.
Whose open mic did you do? Is that how you met Brandon? Through comedy?
Yeah.
Okay.
What was I gonna say? It was like one of the Kensington Market ones. That was like really low key. It's so funny too because I was like having like so much anxiety and like I was like literally like on Instagram going through like old stories of that like random like Mexican restaurant to be like, oh, like what's the vibe of this, like is it going to be like, do I need to like edit myself to like fit this vibe? And then I got there and I was like, oh, literally, who cares? We're like bumming around at a Mexican restaurant on a Thursday.
They don't even want us here.
Yeah, like they literally, the staff is like actively hostile to us, and they should be. Those poor staff. But
oh, good for them though, man.
Yeah. How did you start comedy?
Well, I went through a breakup.
Word.
And I was in a relationship. I was engaged, and my fiance or ex-fiance had a child. So I was living like stepdad life for like quite a while. And to be honest, we had dated a few times, me and her.
Okay.
And then this like third time, I want to say it was a third time, but realistically it's probably like the fourth or fifth time, unfortunately. But like, to be real, the first few times weren't too serious, and we're like, all right, we're going to do this, and we moved in together, and we kind of, things got real, and I was living for those two for so long that when we split up, I was like, I don't even know who I am anymore. Like, sometimes you get in those relationships, and it's like you don't do it, like, by, like, a big amount. You kind of, like, inch your way to, like, this different version of yourself by the end of a relationship,
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, oh man, like I kind of like, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do I want? What do I want? Like,
yeah, I
need to do something for me. And so this stand-up was just something that I've always wanted to do. I had pursued music for a bit, and that was just didn't seem realistic to me. And I can kind of been down that road already. And stand-up was kind of like this, this new thing. And for years, I've been like with my buddy Miles, like, yo, let's go do an open mic. And he moved to Ottawa, so like we don't see each other a lot. And then, I don't know, it just didn't talk about it for a bit. When we broke up, I signed up for Second City classes.
True.
And I did 2 levels of stand-up. And but like after the first level, I started doing open mics. And then it just kind of, like, I didn't even do my grad class performance show for Second City because I had a concert. Like Mike Shinoda, if you know who Mike Shinoda is from Linkin Park. You do?
I was gonna say your dog, is it your dog or your cat is literally named Chester?
Yeah,
I was like, that checks out. Like, vibe.
Yeah, 100%.
R.I.P. Sweet King. Like.
And so he was in town for like a solo album, which he doesn't do a lot of. And I was just like, oh, like on the same night as the second, I'm sorry guys, like I'm already doing shows. I don't really need to. This isn't going to really... It's just going to be another fucking 5-7 minutes or whatever I was doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the thing I'm very intrigued about as somebody who did not start in Second City and has no idea what goes on there. Excuse me. Where I'm I'm intrigued as to what that is, because to me, like, the process of doing stand-up comedy, to me, is just so, like, just go and do it.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like...
No, I get it.
Yeah, like, to me, like, the difficult part of stand-up is not...
You can't learn that stuff.
Yeah, like, the
right?
difficult part of stand-up is not doing a 5 to 7 minute set. That's just, like, okay, you go, and then you, like, fall on your ass, and then you listen back to what you recorded and try to pick out the best stuff, and you just kind of keep doing that until it's somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the difficult part is what I'm running into now, where I'm, like, very fortunately, like, being, like, booked and, like, feeling pressure to, like, have a brand or, like, have, like, a nice personality so people come to my show or, like, whatever. And that is, like, so exhausting to me.
Mm-hmm.
Where I'm just, like, I don't know, just, like, tell me where to be. Can I, like, not talk to anybody, go do 7 minutes, and then go to Tim Hortons after? Because, like, I love you all, but I just, like, I'm tired. And I've met all of you. We've run out of interesting conversations.
That's so my style, too. Like, I don't hang around. Like, I don't, and it also has to do with me drinking or not, lack of drinking.
Yeah.
You know? And so, like, usually I'm just, like, there for the show, and then sometimes, you know, maybe I'll leave before I try to stay as long as I can to most shows, but, you know, a lot of them are during the week, and I work early. So, and I take, well, you know where I am now from fucking Toronto, so it takes a bit to get there and back, but Second City, you know, and I get it when people like, because I fully agree you can't teach funny.
Yeah.
And, like, to be honest, the second level is really just you coming in with new material every week for, like, I don't remember how many weeks, like 8 to 10 weeks or some shit like that. And just performing your set in front of, like, the people in your class and the instructor or teacher or whatever they call him. And he just kind of, like, writes down his notes, and then everyone sits around in a circle, and they kind of critique each other with him having, like, the most to say, but other people have, like, room to, like, you know, speak about what they feel about your jokes. So, like, the first level is very beneficial. Well, it was for me. Like, obviously I knew I've been into comedy for a bit, but it just kind of teaches you the fundamentals. You already have it, man. You already have it. You don't, you know, it's, you know.
I mean, like,
you know how to be funny.
That's a weird thing that I'm also running into, where it has been lightly explained to me, like, the science of joke writing. I am both simultaneously too stubborn and too lazy to learn it. So it's very funny to me, because it's like, people will really, like, agonize about, like, how a joke is set up or structured, and, oh, is this, like, an act out? Is this, I don't know. And I'm just like, I don't know, I just, like, tried to write whatever I thought was entertaining, and then just, like, use the process of open miking to, like, edit it to a place that I'm proud of, put it up in, like, my booked act, and then, like, kind of do it a little bit, and then maybe I'll come up with a good idea to improve it later, try it again, like, so, and that's not to be, like, I'm not saying any of this to, like, shit on, can I swear?
Yeah.
I've sweared, like, 90,000 times.
It's totally fine.
I'm not saying this to, like, shit on, like, Second City or, like, that model of being creative. I totally say that would be helpful to a lot of people, but it's just really foreign to me.
Yeah.
And honestly,
I get it too. Like, I was actually, like, butting heads with my level 1. Like, I mean, you've seen some stuff I do. Like I had a bit that I did with cantaloupe, where I brought cantaloupe out and gave it to people in the audience.
Delightful.
Then told them I fucked it, you know, like shit like that, and like my nuggets in my McDonald's nuggets and the KFC. There's just like things that like they're not necessarily like structured how like, you know, typical jokes are. So there was definitely some butting heads with him.
Yeah.
You know, but don't get me wrong, I love him and I respect him, and he's like one of my godfathers. Like, he really helped me get to where I am, even if we don't fully agree on, you know, or like the same things, rather.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But, yeah, I mean...
I feel that.
I would love to see you in the class. Like, it's kind of like... I feel like you might have the same mindset as me, where it's like, once people kind of are like, this is how you do things, and they kind of put up these walls, like, your initial thing is to just kind of like fucking break the walls down, kind of. That's just what it's like. Why though?
Why? I understand it. This is like the way that I understand it is that, like, when you grow up as a dancer, everybody does ballet, not everybody is going to or wants to be a professional like ballerina. It's just that like the structure of ballet and like the historicity of ballet are such that it just gives you a really good baseline fundamental of like technique that you then can go out and like do other styles of dance that are more interesting to you, because ballet is just like a really good and extraordinarily structured place to like learn technique in that way that then you can go out and like break the rules if you want, but you're still gonna like know like the biomechanics of how stuff gets done. So maybe that's like what that is. I think it's just weird too, because to an earlier point, like I've noticed a lot of my writing is getting very self-referential to what stand-up is, and I've been told to not do that. But I'm also like, I don't know, like I could try to like make observations about like stuff I see in the world, or like try to do something that I've been told like to do to make it like relatable or accessible to a non-comic audience, but that it feels like I'm lying, because it's like, no, like my life is dominated by stand-up right now. I'm in a very privileged but weird position where I started doing stand-up and then got on like a booked circuit really, really quickly and suddenly in a way that like is kind of a mindfuck. So like that's just what's happening to my brain right now. So like please just let me write about this, because like that's just what I'm thinking. Like, and I think also like my particular like joys and frustrations of doing stand-up comedy, I think are like relatable. My goal is to make them relatable to like any person, because like anytime you like try to put yourself out there and do something new, and anytime you're trying to make something creatively or even just make something, it's like it's a mindfuck.
Yeah, it really is. And like I wouldn't even say I'm a people person. It's weird, but I don't consider myself like I feel like I'm generally a nice guy, but like I so would like just prefer to like be hanging out with my girlfriend and my pets. And I honestly never, outside of music I felt like was different because I was with other people. And even though usually like I was the singer, and like obviously nothing was ever big, but like it just, it started in middle school, and so I guess I just kind of got a little used to that. I could close my eyes when I sing. I don't really have to wait for a reaction every whatever seconds. Like I was like the kid doing presentations in class who was like going side to side, and just like so this, and like so nervous. I hated being the center of attention, but I liked being funny. That was my thing, and that's kind of getting comfortable on stage was a struggle. Actually, when I started, and I might have talked about this on here before, but whatever. I didn't want to grab the mic because like I get shaky sometimes, and sometimes it's like I could feel like I'm fine, but then it just happens, and like my hand will get shaky. So for the longest time, I didn't grab the mic, and like all the people that I kind of like came up with, like I would just leave it on the stand and just kind of like move the stand around and like that kind of shit, right? And one day I took it off the stand, and I got like, man, it was probably like the biggest applause I got that night.
Oh my god, that's
just from taking the mic off the stand, like all the people that I was just like, oh, he did it, and it's fucking. It's a weird community. Like, I hate it sometimes. I really do. Like, frustrating things that happen on Friday that we talked about earlier. But then, like, I love it. I mostly love it, Yeah. But it's a fucking wave of just ups and downs, I feel. For me, anyway,
Yeah, it's very weird. Like I said, like, I'm running into issues just trying to, like, do the same thing over and over again, because it's like I fundamentally like being on stage. I like talking to people, and I think I like the clarity that like going through a process of like I'm going to write down my thoughts and present them to you so you understand what I'm saying, because you can hear it right now. I pause a lot in my sentences, and I get cut off like all the time, and I'm such a people pleaser. I'm learning how to do this now, where if I get cut off in the middle of a sentence, I'm starting to learn to say I wasn't finished. Sorry, let me finish.
Yeah.
So it's really nice to be like, no, like this is my 5 minutes, and I'm going to like say what it is that I want to say in a way that I'm like, yeah, like that. I've edited this into like a reasonable representation of like my thought, as opposed to I am struggling to find the words mid-sentence.
So coming from a dancing background, I'm interested because like, do you think that, because I don't want to, it's obviously not the only one, but I feel like did you ever meet any dancers that didn't have any background in traditional dancing that were like skilled the same way? Because that's how I feel like you don't have to have training. Same with like culinary. That's kind of what I do 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Where it's like some of the best chefs I know never went to school. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That is. Oh God, that's a question that we could talk about for 2 hours. What is dance is kind of like the fundamental, like me being annoying and me being a postmodernist, whatever. Like, okay, like what do you mean by dance? And like, yeah, like I mean, I could watch like the most, you know, technically proficient ballerina in the entire world, or I could watch somebody's dad at a wedding having a really fun time. And quite frankly, I'd probably prefer to watch their dad.
Yeah.
You know, that's way more fun. But like I think in the dance world, insofar as like people who pursue dance professionally, no asterisk hip hop people. It's not, there's overlap and it's different now. That's like kind of its own thing. Especially like yeah, like hip hop people are even bridging that into like any kind of like street dance. I don't know if that's the best wording for that. Like voguing, whacking, breakdancing, all that. Mm-hmm. There's definitely a lot of like rigor, I think, in order to be proficient in that, but like I don't necessarily think that the majority of those people go through kind of like the childhood dance industrial complex of like ballet, jazz, some tap, like functional tap, functional hip hop, contemporary modern, where you kind of, it's just like a, like people are like, oh, what style of dance do you do? And I'm like, that's, unless you're in hip hop, I feel like everybody kind of grows up doing like just in the dance industrial complex, and then you maybe start to specialize if you become a professional dancer when you're older, which I clearly did not, thank the Lord.
Did you want to at some point though?
Kind of. I don't think it was ever a question because it was never going to happen for me. I was really passionate about dance. I enjoyed dancing. I didn't really like the dance world. And I was kind of in this like weird zone where I was in like kind of the pre-professional teen dancer universe. But I was like, it was just like, just not going to happen for me. And it was kind of obvious to everybody that I was about as good as you can get before someone would actually be like, yeah, you would actually stand a shot doing this professionally. So that's a weird thing to rectify now, trying to be creative as an adult, where it's like, oh, I grew up in this paradigm where it was like the question of like, oh, am I allowed to like pursue my dream? The answer was no, and I never questioned it. I was just like, yeah, of course that's not going to happen. I'm not talented enough. I'm just going to like enjoy doing this and try to, you know, work as hard as I can to get as good as I can. And then like, you know, maybe there might be an alternate way that I can translate this as an adult. Like I could have become a dance teacher or a choreographer. I did neither of those things, thank God. But that's a weird thing to navigate now. Like especially now that I am back in like a very kind of structured, creative world, like stand-up comedy, i.e. like High School Part 2, where I'm just trying to like, I'm trying to be like, I understand that like nobody who told me that I wasn't good enough was doing it maliciously. I think that they were trying to like make sure that I didn't have heartbreak later on, and I think they were just trying to be like perfectly realistic with me.
Was it something that you decided to do, or was like dancing something that was like pushed on you?
It was something that I decided to do, but I started like, okay, hi, I'm transgender. That's a whole thing. Blah blah blah. So I obviously was like not a woman yet. So I started, I think, when I was like 10, 11, which is like young for boys, old for girls. And like, I think I had taken like a couple dance lessons when I was like really, really young, and I enjoyed it, but I kind of like I started doing like kind of the ballet, jazz, all that when I was about 10, and then pretty much from that point until I graduated high school, that was just kind of like a big part of my world. A lot of the reason I think that I got kind of adopted into like that pre-professional track where I was like around people who now are like working dancers, and like a girl I went to high school with and was on the dance team with is like one of the cheerleaders for the LA Rams, and like
that's crazy, yeah.
And yeah, like all these girls I went to high school with, like they work on cruise lines, and I think one girl's in the Rockettes, I think. I kind of got to be there because it's like I worked really hard and was like not so terrible that I like couldn't like hold my own against them and like not be a complete flop in a group number. But it was kind of like, okay, we need boys, like, so I got a lot of opportunities to kind of improve my craft and be put maybe in a class that I wasn't supposed to be in, but would like improve my technique tenfold because I would just have to work that much harder to catch up to people.
Yeah.
Because of gender.
Do you think like the way maybe that I don't know, you are like structured on stage now like stems from the structure that you got from your dancing, maybe?
Oh yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's
because everything I met, like I can't dance. I like to have fun and move a little bit to music, like I mosh and stuff, but like I imagine like the practice and the everything is like step. You gotta move the step and do the step in the right, and everything's so like 1, 2, 3, 4. Like
it's funny you said moshing because like I grew up kind of around hardcore, and I like that's generally like hardcore, indie, all that. But I was like until really recently, like I was like afraid to be in a mosh pit.
Oh yeah.
I was afraid to like if I went out to like I don't know, like I was 17, it's like prom or whatever, and now like if I go out dancing, I was so afraid to like dance in public for forever because I was like, what am I doing? Like there's not like room for me to be like I am expressing and using like my port bra. Like it's happened in the last like year, I want to say, since coming out of COVID, that I've just been like, oh, the point is not to like do that. The point is to just move your body and do whatever you want, and nobody's looking at you. Nobody cares. That's been like such a weird. I honestly miss that feeling of early stand-up when I like just was so not relevant to anybody, and I wasn't trying to think about whose radar am I on. I wasn't trying to be like, oh, like who's heard this bit before. It was just like, I just want to go and meet people, laugh, and then go home. So.
Shoot. Well, I guess we'll get into the top 5.
Yeah.
Were you able to come up with 5 comedians?
Yes.
You were?
Okay.
All right.
I feel like number 1 is like Maria Bamford. I know she's everybody's favorite, and for very good reason. Like that woman is just so insanely imaginative and interesting.
Very fun.
Yeah, just like so off the wall, so creative, and but she's the best. Like she just makes me like laugh my ass off. She was like my one point of reference for like what a stand-up comedian was prior to doing stand-up.
Oh, okay.
I was like, oh yeah, like Maria Bamford, where she's like weird on stage and it's really fun. And then I really like a whole bunch of like younger comedians who are all kind of coming out of New York. like Patty Harrison, Mitra Juhari, Julio Torres, and then like a couple like gals from the 90s, like Margaret Cho, Janine Garofalo.
Cho's amazing.
She's great. And I love Jenny Slate to death.
Oh, I love her too. I think she's great.
Her.
Yeah.
Her special where it was like half of like a documentary about her life and then half stand up. I was like, okay, great, you're interesting, but like just she has this like really unhinged bit at the end of her special about like jacking off while looking at the moon. And I remember listening to it and just being like, I understand this is supposed to be like this is very funny, but like I just like love the imagery and the like just writing of it. Like it's so like vivid, but also kind of like what's the word, like not asinine, like abject in a way.
She's great. And I didn't even know she did stand up like when I discovered her in Parks and Rec. Have you seen that?
That's like where we all know her from.
Oh, okay, okay, all right. Let's do albums.
Okay.
Albums.
Top 5 of all time, right?
Yeah. Let's do it.
Probably number 1, Wildlife by La Dispute.
By?
La Dispute.
Okay.
They're kind of like I don't even know what just like screamo adjacent. La Dispute was like a band that kind of came up with like Defeater, Touche Amore, Pianos Become the Teeth in like 2011. About like they were really big when I was in high school. They're actually, I am missing the 10th anniversary tour of that record to do my show this weekend.
Oh, really?
The one that I host, so that's fun. But yeah, it is a kind of a concept album. It's like an album long kind of like treatise on like trauma and suffering and like trying to make sense of a world in which you feel incredibly put upon, but you also have to like be a person in the world talking and trying to relate to people who are like suffering far more than you, and how to like kind of negotiate that that interchange. I think it's a really, really beautiful record. I think sonically it's like awesome. Jordan Dreyer, that's the lead singer, I think that's his name. I mean, he just has this like incredible wail, and I think he's an amazing writer. So many of the songs feel like very like well-written short stories. And I think he's like an incredibly vivid, interesting writer. I've like jokingly called him like David Foster Wallace for like post-hardcore bros. So that's that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I love that record.
I definitely know the name, but I don't know the band. I've heard of them, but I've never heard them. I don't think I have anyway.
Oh, okay. You maybe heard King Park from that record. Or you probably heard, they have another record called Somewhere at the Bottom of the River Between Vega and Altair. And there's like songs off there that you might know.
All right. I love long album names.
I know. It's like the Fiona Apple one where it's like, she purposely made it like 90 words.
What album is that?
It's like,
well, you don't have to say the whole thing.
When the pawn hits the something, something, something.
Really, eh?
Shout out Fiona Apple.
That's awesome.
Other records. Oh my, I like prepared this in my mind. Oh, Ease by Joanna Newsom. Joanna Newsom is Andy Samberg's wife. And she is like this incredibly, she's been doing this for like ever and ever and ever. She's this incredibly talented harpist. And she also, okay, her voice sounds like a really beautiful dying cat. And she will just write these like 17-minute long songs that again are like the most like vivid, kind of like fantastical like stories you've ever heard. Her vocabulary is like off the fucking wall.
Is it like opera kind of style singing?
No, it's...
Because it's just like harp and her voice.
It sounds like folksy.
Is it generally just the harp and her?
She has instrumentation, but the harp. The harp features, and the harp she plays the harp in such a fascinating way because it's not just like glissando. Like she's using polyrhythms. She just has like a lot of musicality and a lot of she creates a lot of interesting textures.
They're wild instruments.
Yeah, the harp is insane.
Yeah.
There's like videos of her playing it live, and you're like, it's just insane to me that this woman writes like these 17-minute like odes that feel like they were written by like Emerson or Thoreau that she sings. She knows the entire words. She just like does this. She tours this around while she's playing polyrhythms on the harp. It's insane that she does this. She's so talented. Ease, I think, is like from 2005. There's only 5 songs on the record, and it is so gorgeous back to front. Sprained Ankle by Julian Baker is like one of those records in my life that is like, I don't know if you know Julian Baker.
No.
She's like a singer-songwriter from Memphis. She's about my age.
How old are you?
I'm 24.
24.
She might be a little bit older than me.
Okay.
She is like the most depressed person in the entire world. And this album, remember, it came out of nowhere. She was just like this random girl who uploaded this album to Bandcamp. She'd been in a couple bands before that nobody ever heard of. And it got picked up by people. And we all started listening to it. It is, again, like, she's kind of like a former addict, and she's like really Christian, but she's also like kind of like a radical like socialist lesbian. And I think a lot of it is about her trying to like navigate those experiences, like just like pleading to God. It's really intense. I love it. And on that record, she's since kind of expanded her instrumentation, but on that record, it's literally just like her with a guitar and reverb, and that's it. And it's so like haunting and sparse, and I love that record. Was that 3?
At least 3. Yeah, I would say 3. Yeah, I would say the 3. Yeah, it's 3.
Okay. I'm trying to think of what the other 2 answers were. Oh, Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides by Sophie.
By Sophie?
Yeah, I don't know if you know Sophie. She's like... She was a British? Yeah, British. Like, producer. She kind of did, like, experimental, like, hyper-pop. She famously, like, never sampled, and she would like literally like create every single sound you hear on that record is like created like from waveform, like, from scratch. It's insane. And she always was kind of doing this like, do you remember like that like really bratty pop sound from like the early 2000s?
Oh yeah, yeah. 100%.
It's like that, but she takes that and she makes it like very... She makes it
when
really,
I think
really
of it,
lush.
I think of like boy bands, kind of, and like certain boy bands. I think of or am I thinking
Kind
of
of,
a different
yeah.
era? Am I thinking like late, like maybe like
Yeah,
late '90s?
That, or like think about like really, really like produced sounding K-pop.
Okay.
Like
okay.
that. It's kind of like that, but made very kind of like full and lush, and conceptually kind of very interesting and very raw and vulnerable. She since passed away. She passed away over a year ago. I was very, very sad when she passed away. But that record is like really, really gorgeous. I think about it a lot. And my brain is... I don't know. When you asked me like 5 favorite records of all time, I was like, oh...
It's hard.
That depends on the day.
Okay, that's fair.
I truly... I'll tell you about a record. I think my favorite record of this year so far is Hygiene by Drug Church.
Don't know them either. What kind of music?
They're kind of like a post-hardcore, slightly pop-punk tinged.
Really?
I'm bad with the genres.
Okay.
It's... If you know, like, End of a Year / Self-Defense Family, they were a band forever, and then the lead singer kind of made his own, like, slightly pop-punkier, like, side project, Drug Church. And it's kind of, I think, having a more, like, accessible sound has kind of, like, refined a lot of the themes he's trying to work with about, like, self-actualization and, like, the joys and sorrows of, like, being a creative person, and I find him a very interesting writer, and I think the sound on that record is really, really good. And it's just like, it's just one of those things that just like appeals to me very on a level that I don't fully know how to verbalize, where I'm just like, this record is just really good. It makes me really pleased to listen to it. I feel like, listen to Super Saturated by Drug Church. It's my favorite song of this year.
I'm definitely going to check out the album. I enjoy, like, you know, odd combinations of sounds, you know? And I just, it seems like something that would be worth checking out. I'll do mine.
Yes.
Gonna go Hybrid Theory by Linkin Park.
I was gonna be like, you better say Linkin Park up top.
It's 100%. And like, I don't know what it was. Maybe it came at a time where I needed it too, but just like the sounds, it's like, it's hard to explain, but like before Linkin Park, there weren't, like, it was almost frowned upon to blend genres like Linkin Park, and now how it's just done now, like 21 Pilots, and you know how just these like fucking Drug Church, maybe not Drug Church, but I just mean like it's way more accepted now, like it's almost like the standard to be like blended rather than be, but and like I feel like Hybrid Theory for me in my world, that was like. And they had to break down a lot of barriers, I feel like, when that shit came. Because they were doing, like, metal festivals, but they have a rapper, you know? And it was, they definitely paid their dues.
That's funny. I do find I don't know how old you are. I'm 24, so, like...
36.
Okay, word. I feel like people will, like, tell me about, like, the music, like, how people perceived music at a time before I was, like, a person.
Mm-hmm.
And I find the, like, insistence and, like, snobbery about, like, what genre something is, like, extremely funny and weird.
It's fucking weird.
It's like, who cares?
Yeah.
Who cares? Like, there's so much more to... There's so many different ways to think about music that both can and cannot be analyzed. Because it's like, I can try to verbalize what I like about something, but honestly, I just fuck with it. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it's just...
And that's all that really matters.
Who cares? Like, why are we getting... like upset about whether or not something counts as Midwest emo? Who gives a shit? Is it good music or no? Do you like it or no?
Fucking Midwest emo. I don't even know what that is.
Oh,
like, no way.
I love American football.
Oh my god.
I love American football.
Oh my god. Okay. Another band that has like just seamlessly blended like funk and punk and reggae and like heavy metal like together is Head PE. And their album Broke was the first album I got from them. So I'm going to put that as my number 2. I was really, really huge into Green Day back in the day. And their Insomniac record, like, just came at... It's hard to explain, but, like, I was, like, fucking dealing with some court shit. And, like, was sexually abused when I was, like, very young.
Oh.
And, like, this was, like, an album that I, like, always listened to, like, on the way to, like, the courthouse. And, like, leaving the courthouse. And it was, like, get my mind off shit album. And it always... Yeah. And, like, Green Day's... It's long since kind of gone off my radar. Like, I'm not really into their newer stuff. But, like, that album, Insomniac, fucking solid album. What else do I have there? Brand You Can Trust, which is like probably my favorite hip-hop album of all time by a group, La Coca Nostra, which is actually kind of like this hip-hop super group, which is House of Pain. You know House of Pain? Vaguely. Like Jump Around, that song Jump Around.
Oh, yeah.
But they're like 90s, late 80s, like hip-hop. And so it's all those guys, and then 2 other rappers that I really like too, Ill Bill and Slain, and... yeah, there was another guy in the group who's not in there anymore. And when he was there, he, like, you know who Everlast is?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay, well, he's kind of does, like, this hip-hop-y, like, acoustic rock kind of style, you know? And the first album had him on it. It was the only album where he was, like, part of the group. And, like, so it has, like, these gangster rap songs over, like, acoustic guitar. Like, it's just a cool kind of... Like I said, like, these combinations of sounds that it's like, why do we have to fucking do it this way? Where it's... Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like, why don't you try to be innovative? And
right.
Try to blend different reference points and have fun.
Yeah.
Who gives a shit? Life is short.
Yeah, that's why, like, totally, like, what you were saying about, like, you know, just not getting the styles of music. It's like, yeah, that's why it's never really made sense.
Yeah.
And like too, like I used to catch shit. Like I don't have my lip ringing right now, but like I've also had like I have both sides of my nose done,
Oh my God, I did
and, like
too.
my eyebrows done,
not
but like they
that.
were like not like vertical, fucking horizontal.
Yeah.
One like almost got like pulled out, and then I had this like symmetry thing, so I just took them both out. But I had a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And then I was like listening to like a lot of like reggae and hip hop, and people were
Fun.
like, I don't know, it was weird to them, and it's like never been weird to. I also like, I grew up in foster homes, and like my foster brothers were Jamaican dudes, and one of them was from Guyana. Foster dad was Jamaican.
Yeah.
Like so, like those are very like, you know, I was influenced from that, and it was like it kind of, like early on, it felt weird to like just be like, oh yeah, for sure these guys have influenced who I am, like for sure. Yeah, I'm a white guy, but I fucking, you know, I'm definitely influenced from what
it's like,
fucking they bring to the table, you know?
There's like two levels of it. It's like on a macro scale, it's like, okay, what do we mean by white? That's a whole conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also like, you had your experience. Like if people are like trying to like come at you for like describing your experience, I mean, it's like authentic to you, then like they don't know what's going on.
It's funny too, because as I'm talking about this, I remember going away to BC, and this was at a time where YouTube wasn't around, all right? And I went to BC, and Linkin Park had like Hybrid Theory and Reanimation, which is just basically a remix version of their first album with a couple other things. And when I came back, like they were all, and this was kind of like, I knew they had influenced me, but I was trying to like find, I was like, have I? You know, and who I am like influence them, and then I come back from this thing, and they're all like, yo, let me listen to those Linkin Park records. Like they were literally fighting for who got to listen to fucking Hybrid Theory first.
That's adorable.
It was, and you know, it was a cool moment though. And then number 5 is Servants in Heaven, Kings in Hell by Jedi Mind Tricks. Probably my favorite hip hop group. Probably my favorite album of theirs. And yeah, I don't really know what to say. It's just,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, fucking right.
Do you want to do? Let's do fucking desserts.
Desserts?
Was this a hard one for you? Do you have a sweet tooth?
I like desserts.
All right. All right.
Oh God. Okay. There is a fancy Italian restaurant downtown near my house. They have this flourless like chocolate torte situation.
Yeah, I do them at my work.
Yeah.
Flourless ones too. Yeah.
Yeah. They serve it with like a chestnut sauce.
Okay.
Okay, literally the reason I like this is because it is like saltier than the Seven Seas. They put so much salt in this shit.
It's good. Eh?
So good. I don't even like chocolate that much, and I'm like, oh, like would die for that.
I don't like dark chocolate, like too dark.
Really, I only like dark chocolate.
Really, I'm so like milk chocolate. Like that's what you don't, eh?
No,
okay.
Not for
okay.
Me. I love that. There is, so I'm not from there, but I was born in Hawaii.
Okay.
And I love shaved ice. Like every time I go back, I want shaved ice. It's so good because it's not like a snow cone. They like shave the ice, so it's like a much more like appealing texture, and I love getting it with like lilikoi and like lihingmoi and all that. So that's really nice.
Okay.
I love. There is a. I don't like actually. This is like a fun, like being like I don't know if third, second generation like immigrant things like. My grandparents were not born here. My parents were born here.
Okay.
Or in America. I'm from America. This whole thing.
Yeah.
But like, so I never know what like things are actually called in Chinese. I like know what they are, but I'm just always like I don't know. It's that thing. It's like this soup that has little like tiny like little dumplings. I think it's like there's like glutinous rice in the soup, and then it's like a red bean filling. I think it's called like tangyuan. Do you know what red bean is?
Yeah.
It has like a red. I just like love red bean. I grew up with it. I feel like it's like my chocolate. Oh, do you know White Rabbit candies?
No.
I don't know. They're like a Asian thing, I think. I grew up with them also. They're like little candies. They're like white, and they taste like condensed. I think the flavor is just like milk.
Okay.
It's a super specific flavor, and they're covered in like this edible rice paper.
Okay.
And they're also like really hard. You have to like chew on them for like a minute before you
Oh
they
yeah.
can, like, but that taste is like, to me, there used to be, I think they're shut down now, Wong's Ice Cream in the East End. They used to have a White Rabbit flavor.
Oh.
And it's like literally just like condensed milk or some shit. So like it's super easy to make, but I really like that.
I'm gonna look for them.
And then honestly, like I'm just like a huge slut for Dairy Queen.
What's your go-to
Score
thing?
Blizzard.
Score. Oh, for
Done.
sure. For sure.
That or like a strawberry sundae, like just a small one.
The other thing that I like to get to, do you get like extra score?
Of course.
Yeah, okay.
It's the only way.
Yeah, all right. The other thing I like too from Dairy Queen is the peanut butter parfaits. But like the ones around here don't fucking have it, yo. Like only certain ones have it.
Yeah.
Like why? You have all the stuff. Every place has the stuff.
I actually don't. Okay, the part of the world, I'm from Southern California, that's where I grew up. There's like not beaucoup Dairy Queens around. I grew up like a 5-minute drive from like the only Dairy Queen for what must have been miles. There was just one randomly next to our house. So we like, my dad would like take us like, oh, first day of school, we're gonna go get Dairy Queen. So like, I don't know, like, I don't have like an imprint in my mind of what the Dairy Queen menu is, the way that like you just like do for like McDonald's or something. Or the way that I like do for A&W now. I fucking love A&W. When I moved to this country, I was like, oh my god, like A&W's the one. That's why I want to live here. Like,
yeah.
A&W's the one, but fuck In-N-Out.
But they don't have ice cream though. You can't get ice cream at A&W.
The frozen root beer is enough.
Oh, you like that? Eh? Yeah, that's okay.
Good.
That's all right.
I just alienated every single Californian, but like, fuck In-N-Out. It ain't shit.
Never had it, so I can't really say.
Actually, it's fine. You have to like know the super custom order though.
Okay.
Like if you just ordered like garden variety like menu In-N-Out, it's like mid. You have to know to like order your patty like fucking like mustard fried and get the animal fries.
Okay.
There's just so much lore to In-N-Out that it's just kind of exhausting.
That's how I feel about White Castle too. It's like certain things, like I don't know. And I hear from there's so many things I haven't tried though.
Are we still recording?
I would definitely. Yeah, you know what?
Oh, okay.
At least half the people are like, "Oh, yo, I don't think it's recording."
Oh
anymore.
no! I was just like, oh,
no, it is. It's working.
Okay.
All right. So, was that 5?
I think it was 5.
Okay.
What are your desserts?
All right. I'm going apple crisp.
I don't like baked apples.
You don't, eh?
I respect it. I like if I have like a baked fruit pie, I need so much vanilla ice cream on top.
Well,
But
I mean, to be real, I would never
with
have an
bits.
apple crisp without like ice cream.
True.
Like very rare with that. Like only if I like ran out of ice cream.
Sure,
if I didn't
yeah.
have, but if I know I'm gonna make one, I'm for sure gonna fucking get some ice cream. Carrot cake.
Slap.
Yeah.
Slaps.
Cheesecake.
I feel like cheesecake I always want... Sorry, I'm commenting on your answer.
No, it's
You
fine.
tell me to shut
It's
up.
totally fine.
I feel like cheesecake I always want one bite of cheesecake.
Yeah.
I want...
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, we're good.
It's pretty filling. You know, actually,
Yeah.
the only one that I feel like isn't filling is those the Japanese cheesecakes.
Oh, yeah.
Tetsu. What's
Uncle Tetsu.
Thank you.
Have you ever had a Basque cheesecake?
I don't know what that is.
It's
I
like a
don't think so.
similar concept where it's like... It's not like, oh, here is like a cheese mound with like graham cracker crust. It's like kind of its like own contained baked thing. But the point of it is that you like burn the outside like to shit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just like get this like amazing, it's like really kind of like light and airy, like a Japanese cheesecake
What's
on the
it called?
inside, but it has that like charred, like a Basque cheesecake.
Basque cheesecake.
Like the people in Spain, like the Basque people.
All right. I'm interested. I would
I'm
definitely.
gonna get canceled by
that.
Basque people for those.
Creme brulee.
Slap.
I love that shit. I like. We do them at my work, and like my excuse every day, I like make them, and then they like sit overnight. And I always have to come in and like try one, like always.
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I mean, most of the time it doesn't have the sugar, but the sugar on top just adds like,
No, but
it's just
honestly-
perfect.
Like just anglaise on its own is like.
Yeah. I'm gonna go, and I feel like this fits. I was worried if this wasn't like a dessert, but you did a candy. I feel like it fits. Oatmeal raisin cookie, yo. I'm an old person.
That's a dessert.
Yeah.
You bake it.
It's
in the
easily
oven.
my favorite cookie of all time. I could. if I bake them, they're generally gone by like the next day.
Sure. You must be like, you must have like loved like every like 8th grade like event, because you know like they would bring like the Costco cookies.
No one wanted the oatmeal.
Yeah, and like all the chocolate chips gone in like a millisecond, and you're just like chilling with the oatmeal raisin.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and I don't even really like raisins. I only like them in the cookies. You know, maybe butter tarts. You know, maybe. Yeah. But if I get butter tarts, I generally will get like pecan or some sort of nut or some shit.
Actually, my boyfriend is like a baker.
Oh, he
is,
just
a home baker. He's really into it though.
Yeah.
He's really good. Sorry, I didn't say. Actually, he's been really into making these like Belgian buns. Yeah. They're English buns, but they're really called Belgian buns. And it's just like a bun with like a really tart lemon curd, and like rum raisins in it, and the raisins hit.
Yeah. The raisins hit. All right. Tell him to check out a show called The Bear.
We'll do that.
Yeah, it's on Disney Plus. It's like the fucking best fucking and I'm saying this because like the baker in it, like he's super passionate and like he's always like trying to be rushed, and he's like, no. You know, I feel like anybody that is into food or into cooking or baking needs to watch this show. It's so good. It's slept on.
Yeah.
The Bear.
I'll look into that. I like baking too.
You do?
Yeah.
What's like your go-to thing? What's like the thing you do the best?
Financier.
Right.
Because it's like financiers, they look really fancy. Everyone's like, oh my god. And I'm like, literally, this is the easiest shit in the world. Like, the hardest part is browning butter. Everything else you just throw in the oven. But they taste really good. They're like so buttery and delicious. We've together made, we don't live together, and I don't really have room in my apartment to like bake. But together we've like tried to do like very kind of complex layer cakes, and we had like a whole patisserie moment once where we like made like opera, like the opera patisserie. Oh, it took us like 2 days, and we were like, what the fuck is this? And we like had it, and we were like, wow, like this is good, but like 'cause it's like super intense coffee and chocolate. And when you're like making when you're making it at home, not in like an industrial setting, first of all, they came out like massive. They're supposed to be like this big, and they were like huge. And we were just like, okay, let's crank up the coffee flavor because we're insane people. And we were like, this is delicious. We can't have more than one bite of this because it's like so intense.
Got you. All right, let's do... Wait, was that... Yeah, that was 5 for me. Let's do directors.
Oh, yes. David Lynch. I'm sure you've seen David Lynch movies.
Yeah. There's of your thing, I feel like I only know 2 of them.
Oh, I forgot what I even said. Okay. I know I said David Lynch. Wong Kar-wai. If you've ever seen like Chungking Express, which is my favorite movie. In the Mood for Love. Happy Together. He's done like 90 different things. He's from Hong Kong. He is just so... God, like the visuals he creates are just like so beyond stunning. It looks like, do you know how like every music video in the 90s had that like kind of like over like way too much like with the color grading and like, way too much with the Dutch angles? It's like that, but like it's so like I think he really portrays the environments that he's in. Like a lot of his films are like kind of set in like 90s Hong Kong. Happy Together set in Argentina. He really kind of like uses that kind of like maximalist approach to cinematography, and his cinematographer is a guy named Christopher Doyle, who's also awesome, to really like present these like really like vivid environments. And I like that like his movies are not like very plot driven. They're just kind of very like explorations of like human relationships.
This is what's going on.
They're meandering and really beautiful.
Period of time.
Yeah, I just really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I guess on that, Apichatpong Weerasethakul, who is Thai. I have not seen Memoria, so if you're an Apichatpong head, I have not seen his new stuff, or like his super newest film. But he's a Thai director who... He's very, like, slow. Like, similar to, like, Wong Kar-wai, like, his these movies just very like they linger a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They're very like just set in an environment that characters kind of meander through, and it's about kind of that relationship. There is a shot in Cemetery of Splendor, which is one of his movies, that's literally just like 2 minutes of like escalators, like empty escalators, and it is like the most like beautiful hypnotic thing I've ever seen. The back half of Tropical Malady is just like this beautiful, insane, just like trek through the jungle that just like ends with like a shot of a tiger like head on that just like made me like cry on a plane when I watched it.
Okay. Cry on a plane. You just, that memory sticks out, eh?
I'm very emotional. Neil, do you know Neil Breen?
Yeah.
I fucking love Neil Breen. That man is unhinged. It's so funny.
Zakai is, I'm almost certain, is the person who introduced me to him.
I love, of course, because like me and Zakai are literally best friends, and I love that we both didn't know that we like Neil Breen.
That's hilarious that you, yeah. Okay.
I love Neil Breen so much.
Yeah.
Just like, I just love, it's not that like he's like earnestly inept. It's that like, there's like this like childlike imagination and just like pure sincerity to everything that he does. That like, yes, like it's so completely like inept and bad, but it's just like, you watch his movie and you're like, but I see what you were going for, like, and you're just like, I feel like once you watch one and you just get accustomed to like what the Neil Breen universe is, you just like watch it as like almost like a piece of like outsider art that's like more affecting than like anything anyone else could make, because it's just like, yeah, like I want to watch this like really bizarre 60-year-old man from like Las Vegas who has no idea how to use a camera or like to write a scene that sounds like people talking at all, but he's really earnestly trying to tell a story about climate change. I love him so much. That was 4. I forgot who the 5th one.
I feel like that was, it's 4 or 5.
I mean, like,
you can name another one, I think.
Oh, probably Kieslowski, who did like the Decalogue. He's like Polish, but he goes back and forth between like Poland and France.
Okay,
in his career. So he's famous for like the Decalogue, which is in Poland. It's like 10 short films that are all kind of like an ironic interpretation of each of the 10 Commandments. And then he has the 3 Colors trilogy, which is like the thing he's best known for, which are like 3 full-length films that are each based on, they're like interconnected in ways, and they're each kind of based on like a thematic exploration of like the like tricolor of France, which is supposed to represent like liberty, equality, brotherhood.
Okay.
And like trying to like create commentaries on that. I just like, I think he's very thematically kind of focused on like dramatic irony and coincidence and like the magic of human connection that happens within that. So that's why I like him.
All right.
Yeah. What are your favorite directors?
Okay, I'm gonna go Christopher Nolan, Kevin Smith, Chris Columbus, who is the Home Alone guy. And to be honest, he's there because Home Alone 1 and like they're like my favorite movies of all time, 1 and 2. So I know he's done some other stuff that I like, but I can't think of it offhand. Zack Snyder, who's like I'm a big comic book guy, and I'm like super more I like DC a lot more than Marvel. Marvel's alright, but Zack Snyder, I just think what he's done. He's also one of those guys who's like, I mean, just like extended. We're gonna look at the sky a little bit, you know. We're gonna have he has like 3 hour, like couple 3-hour movies, you know, like where that's just like standard for him, you know.
Yeah.
And then I'm going Judd Apatow simply because, again, I want to watch that show Love, but I haven't, and I don't really know what his most recent thing was, but he had such a string of just hilarious movies, just some of them within the same year. He had like a good run, like 4 or 5 year run. But yeah, Guess we can finish on
Huge.
superheroes.
No, I love that.
I won't do superheroes because I've done them before, but...
Okay. It's funny you mentioned Zack Snyder, because I know nothing about superheroes.
Mm-hmm.
It is the one... peace and love to all... it is, like, just the one cultural phenomenon that I just am so, like, I have no idea why we're doing this. Peace and love, I don't get it.
Yeah, okay.
So, when you texted me this and you're like, okay, you can list anybody, I was like, alright. So it's mostly musicians that I just, like, couldn't fit into, like...
That's fine. I've had,
We could
it doesn't have to be, like, Batman or that kind of stuff, you know?
I want to say my first choice, and we might just have to talk about that for, like, 20 minutes. Courtney Love.
Courtney Love.
I'm obsessed with Courtney Love. I'm also going to say Yoko Ono.
Okay.
Because I feel like the both of them are extraordinarily interesting women to me in our culture, who I think raise questions about what it means to, like, be a complicated woman in the public eye who does not behave in ways that are expected of you, especially, like, in grief, who seem confident and capable in their own careers. I respect both of them as artists, like, so much. Like, if you given me a 6th album, I probably would have said Live Through This by Hole.
Okay.
And I think that they are both... Honestly, I love how abrasive Courtney Love is. And it's funny because, like, if you actually, like, look into kind of who she is as a person, it's like, yeah, like, she seems like kind of a cunt. Can I say that?
Yeah.
You can censor that.
You can say cunt.
But it's like, she's like very self-possessed, and I like appreciate that she's so confidently unhinged.
Mm-hmm.
And I find both of them interesting in the sense that both of their kind of husbands both existed in the public consciousness as, like, sweet little princes of society who, like kind of, like, sensitive, troubled men who it seems like the public consciousness just decided was, like, a sweet, perfect angel who could, like, never... that we, like, must protect, and, like, this is the national treasure. Oh, and here they're kind of, like, abrasive wives who don't come across as particularly, like, doting, and, like, fuck them, let's spend, like, 20 years, like, saying the most, like, awful things we can about them, making up shit about them in the press, calling them all sorts of names, when really, like, especially, like, both Courtney Love and Yoko Ono were both very interesting and accomplished artists. Yoko more so than Courtney, but, like, interesting and accomplished artists in their own right before they ever linked up to Cobain and Lennon, respectively. And I think, like, fundamentally both of those women exist in my mind as proof that, like, people can, like, say the most horrible things about you. You can be so wildly misunderstood by the world, and you can be somebody who the world is not of this world and is, like, very put upon, but that does not stop you from, like, continuing to be creative and to be yourself and to, like, again, just, like, have a creative output that is true to yourself, because both of those women have, like, kept... If I was in either of those positions, I would just be like, you know what, like, I'm just gonna go, like, chill and, like, not ever put my face out in the world again. It's just too much, goodbye. But they've just kept being like, no, like, I'm just gonna continue to make the things that are interesting to me and exist in public in a way that is authentic to me. And, like, yeah, like, I'm, like, you know, it's like Courtney Love, it's like, sorry that she wasn't, like, a weeping, just, like, on the floor, like, flaming June mess all the time, but, like, she has other things she would like to talk about that are not just, like, her husband's death. She has other things going on with her life, and she's not... Anyways, I love both those women.
Okay.
I could talk about them for a while. I really like Michelle Zauner, who's the front woman of Japanese Breakfast. She also published Crying in H Mart, which everybody should read. It's a very good memoir. She's very interesting to me as being also like an Asian American creative woman, I think that she kind of is such a champion in a way that's not just like pure representation politics.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a champion not only in just like being that Asian American woman, but being somebody who is like in her work trying to like grapple with those themes of the diaspora and culture and what belongs to who. Also, she's a really good writer, so. I don't remember the other two. Who are your heroes?
Oh man, I've done them quick. If you really want to know, I'll go.
I would like to know.
They're all superheroes. They're all like
Wow.
comic book. Like I collect comic books and shit. Batman, Ninja Turtles, Red Hood, who was like he used to be a Robin, but then he kind of left and he became his own thing. And then Arsenal and Spider-Man.
Huge.
Yeah, and if I was doing a real person, I'd probably pick my Nana.
Love. May I ask why?
She was basically my mom. Like I said, I was like raised in foster homes and stuff.
Yeah.
My Nana was like my guardian sometimes. It was just like this weird thing. I lived with her for like a bit throughout my childhood and stuff, and she just did all the things that, you know, a mom should do. Yeah.
That's adorable.
I guess that's it.
That's so nice.
Yeah, she was awesome. She's fucking as much as she would hate this tattoo on my neck, it's a pretty big representation of what she meant to me. Like actually, and I got it done. Like by no means, like my Nana was a nurse, so she had some money, but she wasn't like well off, you know. And she retired and moved to BC, and when she passed away, she left me $300, and I got this, you know, and. Yeah, like she was religious. I'm not very religious, but this symbol is also like, you know.
It's the Trinity, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
really
so
cozy.
This is kind of something that like I like to look in the mirror at once in a while, and it's kind of like, as corny as it sounds, this was the whole reason I got it. It was kind of like she was looking back at me a little bit. Do you know what I mean? And so the symbol, so the Trinity symbol, you know what that is, the eternity, and then the clouds kind of represent. It actually took her death to kind of make me turn my life around. When I was just like doing drugs, selling drugs, and just doing, you know, all the bad shit.
Yeah.
And yeah, so like the sun rays just kind of represent like the new me kind of breaking through, and the storm clouds are like the old me. So it's a very, you know, meaningful. It's a tattoo that means a lot to me. It may not be like the fanciest artwork, like my fucking hands or something, but like
it's very cozy.
I doubt I'll have a more meaningful tattoo in my life. No,
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how good the art is. Like it's yeah.
And it doesn't look bad, so who cares?
Thanks.
It doesn't look bad. I have some bad tattoos. We're not going to go into that. But I have to go to a show soon. But
yeah, right. You take one. I'll take one.
oh yeah, okay.
And then we'll get out of here.
Is this like a Trivial Pursuit? Are the colors
really
relevant?
Sometimes they can get. Now the colors mean nothing. All right. Do you enjoy camping? Any favorite memories?
Of camping or in general?
Camping.
I have not camped as an adult. I might enjoy it now. I viscerally hated camping growing up. I have like a very distinct memory about having to go on like a group camping trip with like a couple other families I grew up with in Joshua Tree growing up. In like the desert. And I just remember like being so miserable the entire time and like just staying in the little tent we had and just like reading a book.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember also that like one night my dad's friend and his son broke into our car just to sleep in our car and eat all the power bars we had in our glove compartment. So I remember that.
A fucking power bars.
Do you enjoy the camping?
You know, I feel like I'm the opposite. I used to as a kid, and then at some point I became homeless, and then like camping was just, I tried to enjoy it with my ex and her daughter, but like the last 3 or 4 times I've been camping, like some shit just happened. Like nothing, not like drama or anything. Like one time it like rained, the whole tent flooded. One time we forgot our air mattress. Like there was a whole bunch of shit. Like where it's just like and I'm just over camping.
That's
you know?
fair enough.
Yeah. All right, what you got?
Okay. Who brings out the best in you? How?
100% my girlfriend, because I feel like she believes in me more than I believe in myself. Yeah. Straight up, you know? And sometimes, like, there's so many times I could do, but I'll just... like, one time when I was starting up, like, my first show, I was, like, just looking at paying someone to do... And this is very small. Like, she's helped me in, like, personal ways and just other ways, but this is what I want to just kind of say to paint the picture. She was just, you know, basically like, oh, well, what do you have to do? Like, what's your kind of idea? I literally have like a bunch of papers where I drew out like what I wanted the poster to look like and how I kind of wanted this poster format to kind of be. Not exactly but if you look at my 2 posters that I have for both my shows, they're very similar. You know, they have very similar elements. And so I was just kind of, she's like, you can fucking do that. I don't know anything about graphic design. I didn't really know anything about like editing the podcast, but I kind of picked that up, you know, and then she's like, no, you can do this. You have all the things you need to do this. Like, do it. And she just kind of, she pushed me to do something that I totally would never have done on my own, you know, and now I'm like, I have a lot of fun doing it. And I think, you know, the end result was really good. And yeah, I mean, it's important to have, you know, good people in your corner, regardless of whether they're like your person or just your friends or whoever they are, you know?
Yeah, no, that's so, I'm happy that you have that, because it's very hard to come by in this world.
It is, though, it is. Yeah. It really is.
I mean, my boyfriend, I think he is just one of those people who is violently himself. Mm-hmm. He just, like, does what as he pleases, and I don't think he's, like, ever... He's also incredibly nice and sweet and, like, very, like, well-mannered and polite. Mm-hmm. But he's just very, like... He just does whatever he wants, and it's just very refreshing. And I like being around him. I feel very, like, creatively inspired, because he's just not... He just seems very unburdened by, like, other people's expectations, which is something that I kind of struggle with in my own life. Mm-hmm. And then also, like... my parents, who I think for the times that we disagree about stuff, and I'm like very different from my parents, just like 5 West.
Yeah.
But I think that they challenge me to like not just be like a being of pure chaos. So I think they kind of bring out the best of me in that way.
That's good. That's good. It's nice to hear when, you know, parents do that.
Yeah.
Wish all parents were like that. My girlfriend's currently dealing with some shit. So actually, I think I can talk about this now. So like, her parents, she comes from like a, you know, Muslim family, like raised in United Arab Emirates and stuff. Moved here like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And so her family's fairly traditional, and they hadn't known about me for like we've been together for almost, like 3.5 years, going on 3.5, wherever, over 3 years. Mm-hmm. She recently told them about us, and they just like fucking, I mean, I feel for her, and like, I've kind of gone through this at an earlier stage in my life where I dealt with like, you know, abandonment and all the things that she's going through now, so I'm trying to, you know, help her, but I fucking just want to like call her parents up and be like, love this person. Like, this is the person you created. Yeah. Just fucking love them. Like, she didn't have to tell him. We've been living happily, and she wanted to invite him into our life, you know, and it's just fucked up, man. But I'm happy to hear that for you. Are you good at negotiating? If so, do you enjoy... Well, I guess you can answer even if you aren't good at it, but do you enjoy it? Are you good at negotiating? Do you enjoy it?
I have no idea.
You don't know if you're good at it, or you don't know if you enjoy it?
At negotiating?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never asked myself that question.
Okay. Is there any, like, situations where you find yourself having to negotiate anything? Like working.
What does negotiate mean?
Like maybe like working, trying to get I don't know, a day off. Like I don't know. Or like someone like wants to sell you some shit and you're just like, nah, I don't want that. I'll pay 30. You know, fucking, you know,
like advocating for myself.
Yeah,
or like trying to like get a win-win. I feel like that's extraordinarily telling about my life that I just like had a cry. I was like, wait, I don't even know what that word means. People just say it, and I just like nod my head, and I'm like, yeah, and then I'm like, wait, what does that mean actually? I don't know.
Are you good at like getting the things you want? You seem like, I feel like I mean we haven't known each other that long, but I get a vibe of you very being like, this is what I want, and this is. You know,
I suppose.
Take it or leave it, kind of.
I don't think about it that much. I don't know.
That's fair.
I will say I've gotten a lot better at like sticking up for myself and trying to like be like emotionally independent in the last couple of years. I think COVID was a nightmare for everybody. It was really bad for me. Mentally, it got rough, but I think coming out of COVID, it really felt like, even like the last couple months, even like I'm like having some like fun anxiety now about like comedy and all that, but like it really has felt like the clouds parted and I'm like finally like just like very clear in my direction now of the last like year or so.
Okay.
Are you good at negotiating?
Oh yeah, that is what the. You know what? I'm just gonna straight up say no, because if I don't get what I want, I tend to just be like, I'm good, and I don't really like I put my offer out, but then if it's like, if someone like, oh no, that like if someone tries to negotiate with me, I'm just like, oh no, like I don't care enough to do this, you know, like most of the time. So I would say I'm not good at it because I don't do it, you know?
I guess.
Like I don't care enough to do it most of the time. So I would say no. I feel like some people, they like go places and they're like, oh, I'm going to get, like some people are just good at that shit. Like
I don't have like haggling brains.
Yeah, like some
I'm so
yeah.
like, it's so like, I feel like I'm ashamed to my like culture because I just like, the haggling, I'm just like, I really don't care. Like I'm either going to buy it or not.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to like, try to do like the mental math of like what I can reasonably get this for. I'm asking you. Okay.
Yeah, last one.
When or where do you have your best ideas?
In the fucking shower.
Huge.
Most of the time, and it's brutal because like you can't. Like, what do you do? I always try to remember. Sometimes, man, honestly, I just fucking grab my phone and I just will like write it with like my hands outside the shower. I try to dry my hands off and use the phone.
Oh my god, huge.
But like if I don't, it's usually gone by the time I get out of the shower. So like if I have something really good, I have to write it down like quick.
Huge.
You know? And the shower, I don't know why it comes to me in the shower. I have no, maybe it's just the, you know, the time of day that I'm showering, you know, maybe it's after work, and I'm just, you know, going over the events of the day, or I don't know what it is, but the shower.
Yeah. That's so funny. I feel like the shower is a cursed zone for me.
Yeah?
I never have good ideas in the shower.
No, eh?
Anytime I think of a bit in the shower to like try and stand up, it's always like...
oh, this is a shower bit. It's not going to fucking work.
I just know. I try and it's like, yeah, that was not a hit. That was not the one. I feel like every bad life decision I've ever made came from me being in the shower. Just like being manic on my own.
I haven't showered for a week. Things are going great.
Yeah. No, I feel like that's interesting because it's like the opposite for me. I have my best ideas when I'm talking to other people.
Okay.
Or when I'm like, because I almost feel like with my brain, I need to like, which is frustrating because I don't like being around people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the most like verbal or like social, but I think I'm like fundamentally an extrovert in that way, where like I just implode if I'm by myself. It's like, I feel like I just need to be like out in the world and like not being given the time to like overthink or overanalyze.
Gotcha.
To just like go and do it and make a decision on the fly and just like trust that my instinct is good. Like that's what, even like going back to a way earlier in this conversation, like when I was like, I want to try stand up, I was like, we have to do it now.
Mm-hmm.
I have to go up at the next possible opportunity or it's not happening because
Mm-hmm.
I will overthink it and overanalyze and like over prepare and then never do it. Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
You can tell these people know where to get at you if you want.
Yeah, if you enjoyed hearing me ramble, I'm on Instagram at Normal Canadian Woman. I'm trying to have a Twitter account again. I'm not into it. I might delete it by the time this is up, but it's at Kenley Koo. Oh, make sure that you spell my name correctly because nobody can spell my name correctly. I think you actually got it right on the poster for Lafiteria.
Yeah.
I'm like confused as to why people spell my name wrong. It's not that hard. Anyways, KenleyKu, Kenley Koo. And then you can always follow my Instagram to see show updates. I never know what I'm doing. In summary, I don't know what I'm doing. Lovely meeting you all.
Follow her. Go get tickets to Stress Girlies.
Do it. It's a very fun time. Really awesome female forward show, but with like other genders too. Great time with my co-host Monica. We chill at Bar Cathedral. Come out. They have good popcorn chicken.
Popcorn chicken.
It slaps.
I'm going to try it next time. All right. Like always, this podcast is brought to you by Neon Light District. Hit them up. Use code Pillow Talk to save 10%. And by The Great North Apparel. Hit them up. Use code Pillow Talk to save 30%. Thank you for sticking around, and I'll see you in 2 weeks, guys. Peace the fuck out.
Bye.